Hello everyone, I am Aban and I am your discussant for today. Water pollution in the Philippines. First, we need to define water pollution. So water pollution is the contamination of water sources by substances which make the water unusable for drinking, cooking, cleaning, swimming, and other activities. Pollutants include chemicals, trash, bacteria, and parasites. All forms of pollution eventually make their way to water. Water pollution is a major problem in the Philippines. According to Water Environment Partnership in Asia, or WEPA, 32% of the Philippines' landmass, approximately 96,000 square kilometers, is used for agriculture. The primary crops are palay or rice, corn, sugarcane, fruit, root crops, vegetables, and trees for rubber. Increased population, urbanization, agriculture, and industrialization have all reduced the quality of water in the Philippines. The rivers in the capital of Manila have received some attention lately. For instance, the Marilo River, which runs through the Bulacan province and into Manila Bay, was the 10th most polluted rivers in the world list. So, the river is contaminated with several kinds of heavy metals and chemicals from the tanneries, gold refineries, dams, and textile factories. It is one of the 50 dead rivers in the Philippines. In another instance, a group of 9 Filipino artist painter watercolor portraits with sterilized pigments from 6 polluted rivers in Manila. So, the images painted are of everyday events, children playing in the rivers, people in the boats, and families fishing. So, the people who enjoy the water are not aware of the dangers, said by C. Darius, so the curator of the exhibit. So, money made from selling the picture of clean the rivers, thus reducing water pollution in the Philippines. So, in this news, we can say that Manila Bay is one of the tourist attraction of the Philippines, but sadly, they neglected to care for their environment or the water where they live with. Causes of water pollution. Number 1. Untreated raw sewage. So due to a lack of sufficient and effective sewage treatment infrastructure, only about 10% of the sewage in the Philippines is properly treated. Much of this waste is directly discarded into waterways, particularly in low-income urban areas that lack sufficient infrastructure to support proper treatment of this waste. Such waste can spread disease-causing organisms and can cause waterborne diseases such as gastroenteritis, diarrhea. Number 2. Industrial wastewater. Specific pollutants vary by each industry, but common industrial pollutants include chromium, cadmium, lead, mercury, and cyanide. Such as pollutants are dumped directly into water bodies on a daily basis. So factories and farms are using rivers to throw their wastewater. This wastewater includes all the sorts of toxic products such as chemicals or fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides, and etc. And industry waste or heavy materials, acid, so who have been polluting Philippines water and ground at a very high rate. Number 3. Agricultural wastewater. So, pollutants from agriculture can include dead plants, manure, dead animals, soil, or erosion, runoff, and pesticides and fertilizers. So, one of the problem in the Philippines is there's no proper irrigation for the agricultural area. So, this agricultural wastewater can be a cause also of our water pollution in the Philippines. Number 4. Domestic wastewater. So, wastewater from households can contain diseases-causing organisms or toxic chemicals. So, this is also one of the main problem in the Philippines. We have no proper canals in our house or in our community. So, that's why it is also can affect our pollution or our water sources. Number 5, the non-point sources. So, non-point sources of water pollution can include runoff from rain and groundwater and from landfills as well as solid waste. This type of pollution can contain some of the same toxic chemicals that industrial wastewater contains. So, the non-point sources, it is a example for this is the flood. If ever we have a heavy rains, our water had no proper flow because we have no proper canals, we have no proper drainage in our community that we cannot be stop the water immediately if ever we have a heavy rains. So it is causes also the problem of our community. Number 6, other sources. This can include spills from oil and other chemicals, abandoned mines, and the dumping of waste near or directly into water bodies. So the oil spill also one of our greatest issue or our latest issue in our country, because some intentionally or some are accidentally spill the oil or chemicals into water. So it can cause water pollution and it can cause many problems, especially in the animals who lives in the water. Percentage of families and population by source of drinking water. So, as we can see in these graphs, water pollution is the major problem in the Philippines. So this survey, we can say that the World Health Organization and UNICEF joint monitoring report in 2017 defines improved drinking water sources as those that have potential to deliver safe water by the nature of their design and construction. These include pipe water, tube wells or boreholes, protected dog wells, protected springs, rainwater. Families that use bottled water or refilling stations for drinking are classified as using an improved source only if the water they use for cooking and hand washing comes from an improved sources. So, according to these graphs, the result is that in 2017, APIS, or 94% of the 24 million people families have improved source of drinking water in the urban and rural areas. So 97 and 91% respectively have improved source of drinking water. Residents in rural areas are more likely to have an improved source of drinking water than those in urban areas. So 91.1% versus 2.6%, almost 4 in every 5 families. 77% do not practice any method or treatment in ensuring that their drinking water is safe to drink. So, on the sufficient and accessibility of drinking water, majority 88% of the families reported that drinking water is sufficient, while 4% of families are unable to obtain sufficient water because it is not available from source. 3 in every 4 families, 75% obtain their drinking water within the premise or within their yard or plot. It is more likely that families in urban areas have their water sources within their premises, 87%, compared with families in rural areas, 63%. So, in this result, we can say that if the water pollution continually high, we also at risk in our drinking water, because drinking water is our everyday number one important in our lives. Disadvantages of water pollution. So, people suffer from lack of drinking water and depend on bottled water for consumption. Plants that depend on this polluted water may wither and die, and new plants may not grow in that region, those depleting the food for animals and humans in that area. So we can say that water pollution is one of the disadvantages of our water sources. Because of this, we obtain to have not safe drinking water. We obtain to depend on bottled water that we cannot be sure if that water is safe to drink. So we need to be sure that our water is safe. to avoid some diseases, to avoid some problems.